Hey everyone, Steamboy here. A while ago, I did a review on LEDGloves Synergies. Overall, they're still my favorite set and my current mains. However, one thing that does make that set divisive is the size. Compared to coin and nano-sized chips, Synergies are a lot closer to the Micromax in size. For some, this size is a deciding factor on whether or not they get the set. In addition, there are many design decisions that, while I liked, also make certain sacrifices that are not going to be to everyone's preference. So I want to showcase an accessory that might shift that conversation for some of you. This is GlowLEDs Synergyskinz. It's an alternative casing by GlowLEDs made specifically for the Synergies. For those of you who don't know, GlowLEDs has been killing it when it comes to microlight accessories like casings, diffusers, and whites. While I loved my Synergies from the start, the Synergyskins make the set even better to the point where I can't imagine going back to any other casing for this glove set. With that said, let's take a look. Currently, a set of Synergyskins is $19.99 for a set of 10. They come in a variety of different color options. With coupon codes and shipping, the retail cost should be roughly $20 to $25. Overall, I think they are worth the price. These are not my first set of GlowLEDs casings, and they won't be my last. I'm sure a lot of people in the gloving community feel the same way, and the price is a standard for their other similar offerings. At this point, GlowLEDs knows how to make a great casing, and a lot of the subtle design decisions made here really show that off. I think from my experience, these are my favorite chip-specific casings that they have made so far. To put them on, slide the chip through the back. Make sure that this bottom lip of the casing covers the battery, while leaving the USB port exposed. This will protect the battery and also leave the top open for easy access to the USB port. In terms of build quality, it's about the same as you would expect from all of GlowLED's products. It's a high quality 3D printed plastic. One thing to note is that on all of my casings, I noticed that there were these cosmetic marks in the corner. Probably something to do with the way the material cooled. However, this is purely cosmetic and only noticeable when they are outside of the glove. Once they're in and in use, they don't affect the quality of the lights or obstruct the feeling on my fingers. One of my friends have commented that in terms of the brightness and colors, they personally noticed an increase in brightness when it comes to the Synergyskins. Personally, I have found any changes in brightness or color quality to be pretty minimal. One thing that did catch me by surprise, however, was that despite the Synergyskins being a one-piece design with no capes or sleds, the skins do a surprisingly good job separating the front and top LEDs. I would say it's about the same as what you would find on the original RX casings. And despite the fact that they slimmed down, the trails here are still absolutely gorgeous, creating these thick trails with a lot of depth that allow for larger strobes with wider gaps that still function very smoothly. In contrast, the casing does change the Synergies button drastically. With the RX casing, the click was pretty solid and you need to click it precisely under the fisheye diffuser. Here, the casing makes the button much easier to click. The button's switch becomes much lighter and you can click on almost any surface of this casing right under the front 5mm LED to get a solid click. Overall, it's a nice change. It is a personal preference. Usually, I prefer a thicker click since it reduces the possibility of misclicking during a show. But with the larger surface area of the Synergies chipboard, it requires an additional level of precision. The Synergyskins gets rid of this problem. The only thing I didn't like about it was that on occasion, the button click was too light, especially when taking the lights in and out of the case or gloves. The real reason you want to own this casing is the quality of life upgrades you get with your Synergies. It improves performance in these three key areas: the shape, size, and material. Let's take a look at these three aspects in more detail. The Synergyskins are measured at roughly 3.5 centimeters in length, 1.6 centimeters in width, and 1.0 centimeters in height. Overall, this casing increases the length while reducing the width and height. In terms of length, the slight increase didn't change my performance too much. With the height, I did feel it was slightly easier to reach the button, and this is along with the improvement with the button click. The change in width, however, makes this casing especially easier when it comes to casing friction. It may seem like a small difference, but it's just enough to really make this casing kinesthetically leagues above the RX casing by reducing the actual contact that the sides of these micro lights have with each other. While the material isn't as soft as the RX casings, I think it's still very comfortable. It never caused any sort of irritation on my skin or created any sort of pain around my cuticles, which was something that happened with a lot of older casings such as Micromaxes or even earlier versions of E-lights. That said, the smoother texture is great for reducing friction at the sides. The RX casing used a rubber material, and as comfortable as they are, they tended to feel as if there was more friction when rubbing against each other, especially when doing things like finger rolls or changing certain tech positions while doing primary movements. It might seem strange to those who don't have these two casings to compare in person. After all, how can the material's friction be felt if the lights are inside the glove? The answer lies with the casings rubbing against your own fingers. The casing is so good at gripping your fingers that you feel this resistance as the two casings rub against each other at the sides. The smoother texture of the skins allow it to slide around your finger just enough to reduce this friction when doing these movements. I was shocked the first time I put these on and immediately felt the difference, with how much easier it felt to glide with my movements. The one potential trade-off with this design decision is that it might cause your lights to move around too much if you're being aggressive with your movements. So far, I haven't had too many problems with this, but if you are experiencing issues, consider switching gloves or trying a size down. While the top of the casing is flat, the bottom is actually slightly curved to contour to your finger. Overall, I love this shape. Like I mentioned in my Synergy review, I prefer techie aesthetics across the board. And the shape of this casing really adds to that. The flat surface of the casing is also perfect for my technical movements. With the RX casings and fisheye diffusers, I love this shape for showing off these beautiful fat trails during my whips and flails. However, the shape of the fisheye diffusers were also wider than the height of the casing. This caused my fingertips to occasionally get caught on the bottom of my fingers, but more importantly, they caused my fingers to get caught on the actual diffuser when I was doing technical movements. The Synergyskinz solve both of these problems with this flat profile. No more getting caught on my fingers, no more obstructing my fingers during tech transitions. It gives everything an overall smoother feel when you're actually throwing a light show. I will say I do lose some of the bubbly effect in my trails, but the casing is still large enough for the front LED to create large trails, and I think for me personally, it is more akin to what I want in my personal style. In addition, the slight curve on the bottom of the casing is perfect. It's a subtle touch, but the way it contours your finger makes the difference in comfort, especially when I'm doing stuff like hinges or scales. With all of these elements put together, I found the Synergyskinz were the perfect upgrade for my Synergies. It took many of my kinesthetic complaints I had with the RX casings and pretty much solved all of them. The loss of the bubbly trails is such a minor one, and it's kind of up to personal preference, one that I'm okay with losing, especially since this new casing is a lot more aesthetically in line with my techier style. I think for newer glovers, the extra $20 might seem like an unnecessary added cost at first, especially for a set that is already pretty expensive. While you'll be completely happy sticking to the RX casings, I can guarantee you that once you have these, there is no going back. I hope that you enjoyed this review of the Synergyskinz. If you have any questions or want me to discuss a certain topic for a future video, please let me know in the comments. I hope this video helped you in some way. I'll see you next time.